I'm so happy today to have Future Portland here with us, a couple of Future Portland folks. Vicky and Erica. Would you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick? Kristen, you've been on the show many times.
I have. Yeah, people are probably sick of me, but they will want to know who you are.
Never.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We're here to kind of talk about an event you guys are doing. Kristen's hosting public safety event, which is really cool. Do you guys want to kind of talk about it for a second?
Sure. I'm Vicky Payne. I'm the co-founder and policy director of Future Portland.
I'm Erica Gustafson, and I am a member of Future Portland.
Yeah, and I've been doing events and stuff, and been at your events for a long time. Future Portland's a really cool organization. Talk about this event just for a little bit, and then I'll get into some topical stuff that I want to ask you about.
Okay.
And tell people, a little bit about like what Future Portland does and all that.
So right now we're a political action committee. We're a group of regular people. We started because the People for Portland wasn't really allowed to be political, and so that's why we formed as a political action committee, because we didn't really know about all the nonprofit stuff. But as we're growing and learning, we're actually hosting this fundraiser, which is a public safety discussion, to help raise money. Just a couple, like $2,000 is really all we're trying to raise, so we can file to be a 501c3 and C4, to start doing some real grassroots fundraising. And people want to donate to nonprofits more than political action committees.
That's
So
true.
a nonprofit with a C4 arm, like so many nonprofits in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And C4 means that's the arm of the organization where you can be political.
Yeah, usually they're called the Action Fund. So we're probably going to steal that and roll with that as our Future Portland Action Fund.
And you all met on Nextdoor.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about
That's
that.
cool.
Do you remember when you first started interacting with Erica?
It was like, what was it, 3 years ago, Vicky? Like 3 years almost 3
It was
years.
4, actually.
I think
20,
4.
2021.
I think it was
Oh my gosh,
We're
time
getting-
It was
we're getting
so
old.
fast. 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was sort of the end of COVID, right?
Yeah, I think everybody started to feel like, okay, it's time to start busting up these campsites in front of my house that have been sitting here for 2 years, right?
It was a result of COVID also, when everything sort of came to fruition.
And not I don't want to see this, but we voted to tax, I guess not myself because I don't make that much money, but to tax the rich, to help these people. And the problem just kept getting bigger, as we all saw, and we're wondering where the help was.
And on Nextdoor, that's what people were saying. Like, what do I do? I've got these campsites outside of my house. I've got this erratic person with mental health problems. I've got someone smoking fentanyl outside my business. What can I do? And everybody was feeling frustrated and helpless. And then that's where Vicky came in.
So we actually had to start. Well, I didn't start it. Somebody else did. That's not he moved to Vancouver. Smart guy.
Joe, yeah, I remember.
Started this private group because actually at the time you couldn't say the word homeless without getting kicked off the app.
Oh, Nextdoor,
Because,
really?
yeah, it was a flag
it was
word.
just kind of the general.
What? That's
And
Wow.
also at the time, you both, not everybody in Future Portland, but I would say most, if that sounds accurate, were identified as very progressive.
Yeah.
And
Screaming liberal.
like you wrote in Joanne Hardesty for sheriff or something,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
In
never live that down.
2020? Was it 2020? No, 2021? 2021.
No, it would have been 2018.
Oh, okay, back in
was a long
2018.
time. Yeah.
So
Before
when
she
did
ran
you
for city
feel
council.
like there was was there a shift when you're on Nextdoor in 2021, or did you feel like you had a shift there politically prior to that?
I don't think we were talking about it because there weren't tents everywhere before that, right? So
Yeah.
people
It wasn't the discussion.
started to question it at this point in time when we were like, hey, COVID's over, things are starting to open back up. Are we gonna, some of these campsites were enormous, if you guys remember. I live right by a highway, so I called the ramp camp.
And you had just bought your house.
We've been there for several years, but we just gotten an equity loan and fix some stuff up, trying to
A HELOC or something like
yeah,
that.
I'm in a pretty poor neighborhood because I'm right by the highway, and so it just you start hearing all these other people on Nextdoor that are also in kind of poorer parts of town by highways that where the poorer neighborhoods are the ones that are getting inundated with this stuff.
Did you hit up Nextdoor because there was just inaction, like there was nothing happening? Is that why? a bunch
Yeah,
of
how did you
residents
end
got
up
on there?
on Next? How did you even get on Nextdoor?
I had been on it for years after I bought my house. And so it was a nice way to meet my neighbors.
Yeah.
Help giving them free stuff that they needed that I had, vice versa.
What about you, Erica?
Yeah, I mean, I was on Nextdoor. I'm actually a moderator on there, and at the time, I was looking for like a tutor for my son, and looking for lost dogs or things like that. But I would say the state of Portland, really specifically after COVID, was so the problems were just so advanced that I think that the narrative on Nextdoor sort of changed from that to complaining, frustration. What do I do? I mean,
Who do I call?
Yeah, as we said, we're mostly a liberal city. We're progressive. We're mostly Democrats, and there's no political party, I think, that should be attached to these problems. These problems affect everybody. I don't think that politics has to even be brought into it because
local politics are usually nonpartisan.
Yeah.
Most of the time, but I was curious. I don't know. You're still selling tickets, right, for this event too? I'm gonna put a big graphic up.
What is it called?
We'll circle back to that. So it's just called a public safety discussion. It's featuring Portland Police Chief Bob Day and Multnomah County District Attorney Nathan Vasquez, moderated by our lovely Kristen.
If you want to see Kristen in person,
live in
I'm not trying to get you
person.
stalkers or anything, but
she has a few. I have a lot of people who are like, "How can I meet Kristen?" Well, this is your chance.
Grilling the big wigs, talking about budget cuts because both the city and the county are both facing smaller budgets this year, and so everything's on the table.
And I have a couple questions about that, but yeah, I was curious too. Like, you're still selling tickets, first of all, right?
Yes, they're
and then
$55. It includes a drink ticket, and you can buy more drinks, and there'll be a little bit of charcuterie out.
Oh,
And
nice.
I do want to say that, I have a lot of people that ask me, how do I get involved? How do I get involved? Obviously, there's many, many ways. Future Portland is one way. But another way is buying a ticket and attending the event. And if you don't want to do that, even donating a little bit of money, because we can't do what we do without money. We're willing to do the work. Nobody's getting paid, especially Vicky. I mean, she's our front. She's ahead of it, and she does this all for free. And one way to show your appreciation, if you are invested and interested in Portland succeeding, is to either come, donate, or do both.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys would challenge this, but I always consider you kind of a livability group. Somebody, if you're concerned, I was going to say, if you're concerned with livability and public safety in Portland,
is kind of our shtick.
Yeah, if you're concerned with those things, absolutely go to this event.
And we are nonpartisan.
Yeah.
And they're not made up of business orgs.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Erica's a small business owner.
Yeah, but
Vicky's not. And a lot of people within the group are I don't think most are.
No, we've become acquainted with some of the business organizations in town, but that's again why we started this group. Those guys just want to give money and walk away. They don't want to go knock on doors for candidates.
Yeah, talk about some of the stuff you do.
We are, we don't have money,
we're
so how
truly
can we help?
grassroots. Yeah,
But you literally do that.
I mean, we handed
you
out
doorbell. You
yes, like
talk
during
about
the
leaflet.
election, right? During the election,
Phone banking,
phone banking, texting. We walked the neighborhoods delivering, candidate information.
Like, how many hours do you think?
Oh my
how
gosh.
many?
I was doing it on Fridays and
doorbells?
sometimes Mondays. I mean, hours during the election. And sometimes you get to talk to the neighbors. Often you're just, you're going to go ahead and just deliver on the doorstep. But it was whatever we could do to get the message out. And as we know, this last version of charter made things really, really challenging to get good leadership in. And when you have so many people running as we did, it was really, really hard to get the average Portlander to understand who was running, to get to know the candidates. It was
I think that's why a lot of people didn't vote.
it was our
ballot was
lowest
one of the
turnout.
scariest
I
things
don't
I've
know
ever
in how
seen.
many years, but it was our lowest turnout. And as one example, Angelita in District 3, which is my district, she won with 11% of the vote. And you spoke of her on your last podcast, Andy, or a few podcasts ago, and
With Max Steele.
with Max Steele. And I was, I already
rankings,
I
check
already
it out.
understood the challenges, some of the challenges with her, but when I listened to that and I heard the things she was saying that were so hateful towards the police, I thought to myself, the average Portlander, we're concerned that we share the same concerns, but we don't hate the police. And to have somebody in that role that is such an activist, I don't feel that she would have ever been elected in our, previous way that we
Yeah.
I did government, local
Well,
government.
I appreciate you listening. Yeah, I like. I'll probably get a lot of hate for this, but I just like I'm at the point now where I just see her as like a race baiting like TikTok brain 25-year-old girl.
Well, she is, and
that's-
she deleted those. So unfortunately, because people should know.
But I was gonna say, I've been to a lot of Future Portland events, and I've definitely met, a lot of my audience is people that consider themselves politically homeless, and I've met a lot of those type of people at your events, even people that I might disagree with, but we all agree on like the same like livability stuff, which is really cool. And I've met a lot of people through Future Portland, so absolutely check it out. And go to this event if you can. You can see Nathan Vasquez, who's been on the show. I'll put a link to that.
And Chief Day,
Chief
police
Day, who I've never met. I don't know. Maybe you guys.
I've never met him, but I've heard him talk.
He's wonderful.
Yeah,
And I was going to say too, are you doing like a Q&A thing? Can people
What is
submit
I
questions?
actually don't. Vicky and I were supposed to talk about this. What is the format?
We still need to figure
And
that
if it's
out.
TBD, that's
Okay.
fine
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
TBD.
Okay.
But actually, I do want to go back to what you just said about like how there's lots of different types of people in our group. I think that is a big problem of why, our current president got into office, because people on the left, no matter, it's a big spectrum, right? But they're really good at tearing each other down. And I think the Republicans are really good at overlooking their differences to get the greater good there, right? And we need to start doing that. And like kind of a bigger goal of mine is to bring civil disagreement back.
Yes,
There are
critical
people
thinking.
in our group that don't agree with all of our policy platform. Like when, we've always supported sanctioned camping, even when it wasn't cool. Like people don't remember this, but in 2021, the far left did not agree with sanctioned campsites. Not just the big one that Sam Adams proposed, but even the little villages. They were like, no, they can't live next to each other, even though they clearly already were in tents.
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember at the time, even, Kristen and I disagreed on that, but we're still friends.
Yeah. And I don't know why I'm thinking of, shout out to Alan Combs. I don't know why I'm thinking of him, but him and I don't agree on everything, but he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a friend of all of ours, I'm sure.
But don't you think that's the beautiful thing, Andy? Like
It is, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Like we have these common goals and these outside interests and beliefs that don't necessarily line up, but I think that speaks to what it should be.
Yeah.
Because we're at a time
keep
now where
thinking-
we're all enemies because we don't necessarily agree on everything. But I love that
check
about
every
Future
box,
Portland.
or you
I
can't
love
be
that
friends.
everybody's welcome, everybody's invited.
Yeah. I know you guys aren't a party, but I keep thinking big tent. It's like that idea of like everyone's welcome, you can come on in and
That's actually,
hash it
so
out.
our original name was the Portland Party.
Okay,
Because
yeah, I remember, yeah.
My co-founder, she's not in the group anymore, but she was like, let's start a party for the politically homeless.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we got very confused with people for Portland.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
People
people would be like,
didn't
oh,
know,
we
yeah.
already donated to you. And then, like the detractors were like, oh, it's the dark money political arm. And just like, our bank account shows otherwise. Actually.
No, we're not over here getting rich. That's for sure.
We don't have the big business connection. So
Well, and you're actually you're not just not getting rich, you're not paying yourselves. I just want to be
Right,
clear
right.
about that.
It's a
Like
lot of
there's no
volunteer
money.
If
time.
that
anybody should be
passes-
getting paid, it's this girl, and she's
Right,
not
it
getting
pays
a dollar.
for what?
I think I bought her a
Materials?
few beers, but
the materials, the space.
Yeah.
So we try to find spaces for our events that are free, but yeah, for this event, we're paying for the space. So yeah, again, if you can't buy it, if you can't go, donate, because we do need to like put the event on, and I still have we put a deposit down, but we still have to pay
Right.
for the rest of the space. But yeah, normally when we do our other gatherings, I try to find free spaces just because we don't have a lot of money. But in places that can be open to the public, so anybody can walk in as well. But yeah, we're basically just paying for the basics. Other than that, we have to have a treasurer, website costs money, the email server thing costs money. So it's just that stuff that our money goes towards. It doesn't go towards
Salaries. or
salaries
anything.
and
Yeah.
pay.
Golden parachutes. No.
my Maserati, as Max has joked
But I mean,
about.
I think people don't understand that most nonprofits that you think of sort of automatically in Portland, even local ones, they get paid salaries.
oh yeah.
And sometimes a lot of money.
Sometimes-
I was
yeah.
gonna say pretty well, pretty well.
And
yes.
we would like to, once that's the point of growing this into a nonprofit, is because you can get donations easier that way, and hopefully we do, if we can build our brand out. And I would like to hire a paid executive director and a content creator, so we can really expand on the civic education stuff that we try to do. Because aside from the political stuff, like ourselves included, we didn't know much about how a local government worked. Like, this was all kind of
It's a great way to get
a
educated.
big
yeah.
learning process for all of us. Like, who do you call for what? And then we realize there's all these different bureaus that handle different pieces of just cleaning up one campsite, right? So, just learning and growing. And
Yeah, it's a great organization. Like I said, I met so many people, like, even before the election last year, like Keith Wilson showed up to some of your events, and a lot of the candidates that are now in office. So yeah, it's totally cool. If you want to get into that.
well, we held, I would, say that we held the only city council candidate events that had like real questions and debates.
Totally, yeah.
Because neighborhood associations can't be political, as they shouldn't be. Yeah. And so everybody just got to give their 2 or 3 minute stump speech, and you didn't really get to know the candidates. And all of the local media outlets or City Club and other groups that normally do those types of debates, they were all focused on the mayor's race, and it was always about the mayor. And for me, it was like the same responses over and over again. And so I was like, I want to hear from the city council.
I do know that like K2 did these things, which I didn't really think was good, but everyone got like 60 seconds, and it was just boilerplate.
Enough time though, Andy. I mean, we couldn't really get to know the candidates. I mean, I was heavily involved, and I still saw names on that ballot that I was like, I don't know anything about that person.
Yeah, you can't get
that's
to
really
know a person in like a minute.
No.
So.
And then reading a voter pamphlet statement, everybody's solving homelessness and cleaning the city up, right?
But are they?
So like, you couldn't really differentiate just by reading about them either.
This is kind of dumb, but since you guys said charcuterie, before I get in, I have a bunch of kind of topical policy questions, type of stuff. But you guys, I just bought some Colby Jack this morning. Okay. Do you guys want to say your favorite cheese real quick? Is that?
Oh, God, I love that.
I do.
Aged Gouda
Go ahead.
Sure,
Aged
with the crystals in it.
What's different about it being aged?
It has crystals in it.
Oh, crystal. Okay,
It's
like
just sparkly
actual
cheese.
Yeah. We'll have some. Next
Is there a
time you
flavor
come
to?
over.
Is this like
there a flavor to the crystals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spiritual
it's,
energy thing? Is that what
it feels like it? I mean, I love cheese. I consume a crazy amount of cheese, but that's
And where do you get it? Mount Shasta. I'm just
kidding. And zoo pans. There's kind of nowhere else to get it.
I've never had that. So
okay, well, you
wanna
will soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I love all cheeses, and I'm trying to eat less cheese. Okay. So I've been actually buying vegan cheese, which is weird.
Okay.
It doesn't.
I've only had that on
so
pizza.
disgusting.
A cashew.
I've had it on
cashew nut
pizza,
cheese
too.
is delicious.
It's not bad.
That's how I've had it.
I've made
I
cashew
just made a
nut cheese.
cheeseburger last night, and it melts up. It's weird. Curls up. It's very weird. But I don't know, maybe like Havarti is one of my
That's good.
up there.
Havarti's a nice
I don't know if it's my
go-to.
favorite, but it's up there.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite.
What cheese do you like?
If I had to pick, it's funny and it's kind of boring, but I go back to provolone a lot.
That is boring. It's kind of waxy.
It's not very flavorful.
It is waxy.
Maybe that's what you like. You like that kind of just basic.
Or like
good on
a
sandwich.
fresh mott. It's a fresh mozzarella.
Yeah, you are a basic guy.
I like a burrata.
Yeah,
Munster.
you like
I'm picking the most boring ones.
yeah, you are.
Do you like burrata? Like the balls of mozzarella
burrata's
that you
really good.
So
dig
good.
The ones
into,
that-
and then it's like a little oozy.
You get in a little package and it's a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
I think
good.
I've had those, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll do a cheese tasting next
We
time.
can't end this cheese tasting without me telling you that
Okay.
smoked Gouda,
Okay,
Yes.
I like Gouda.
But you need the
Totally.
crystals.
1000% the best out of all of these.
That's probably my third.
Oh, I just
after
love it.
burrata.
I don't eat a lot of cheese, but I like to garnish with cheese.
Okay, so a little just dressing.
Yeah,
cheese
just
dressing.
like if I make pasta, just
What about the
shred a little bit on
what
top.
is it called? Baby L? I like those things.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
the
they're
little-
35
yeah.
calories.
Baby
My kids love
bells.
those.
Baby Bell.
They are delicious.
They're good. That's a nice basic cheese too, Andy. I know what to get you for your birthday. It's like,
The funny thing is remember my string cheese question? Like, do you
No.
remember when I used to ask that?
Yeah.
no, what was the question?
do you-
How would you
I-
ask
do
it?
you
I'm just
peel it, or
controversial
do
because
you-
I just eat it straight
that's
up.
right.
you know?
Oh, that's
Do you
weird.
peel it? Do you
Some kind of
peel it?
monster.
You're missing out on all the fun.
And I kind of don't even like it. Like if I don't know, if I get to that point, I'm like, why don't I just have like a bunch of slices of cheese or something, or cubes
Yeah,
or
it's like,
something.
why not just get a block of mozzarella and cut it up, I guess.
All right, that was our little cheese podcast.
good. What about nuts? Are you going to get into that?
We could if you
are my
want.
Crunchy or smooth? Smooth.
Have you tried the
No, I have
New
a-
Season's Himalayan salt peanut butter?
No, is it delicious?
It was recommended.
It's very
It was
controversial.
recommended to us by
Yeah.
Lisa.
I don't know if
from
I need
Mothers.
salty peanut butter.
It
though.
was
Do I?
recommended to us by Lisa from Mothers.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Okay.
My issue with it is it's very, very oily. The oil is at the top.
Ooh, I don't like
And
that. No, that's
don't like
very.
working.
It's like Adam's
you go.
rep.
Yeah, she doesn't like the oil.
Yeah. You splash it on your shirt when you're mixing it. It's just not a good look.
I got some more fun food ones at the end. I'll circle back to, but
I just want to answer food
It's
questions.
just your way of getting us to move on, Andy. Okay.
no, it's
Let's
it's
move
gonna be a weird transition. But okay,
He's humanizing.
I'm looking very human.
I just wanted to bring this up because it's been in the news this week about. I put JVP, but it's basically the county going after the DA's budget. I don't know if that's going to come up in this meeting that Future Portland's putting on, but I just wanted to put that out there if you guys want to say anything about that. I know that the county has supposedly has a huge budget deficit, and I believe she asked for like a 3% cut. I don't know, maybe you guys know better what that percentage is, but
Vicky works for the county, so
I know you might not be able to say much, but
The views I am expressing today do not represent my employer.
in general, I'll just say in general, I think public safety cuts are a bad idea. I'm a supporter of Nathan. He was on the show.
Well, and I guess maybe the bigger question is why do this public safety forum? Like, why do you think it's important to do, and why should people come?
education.
Exactly. I think people who haven't heard these guys talk before, which like you were saying, you've heard Nathan, but you haven't really heard Bob talk before. I actually heard Bob way, way back. He was retired before they brought him back to the police force. And he did a town hall with people for Portland. And he explained why you couldn't just slap a body camera on an officer, that you have to have all the rules you have to have staff to put it, away digitally and file it
This is
and
back when
record
they
it.
wanted
And
them to have body cameras.
yeah. And it had been delayed because COVID. They said, oh, we're going to spend the money on something else since, it's COVID.
I thought Joanne Hardesty had.
But yeah, it was
also
really
kinda
interesting because,
delayed
again,
it.
I didn't know anything about that. And he was just like, yeah, you've got to set all these administrative rules and record keeping rules. And, when can you pull the footage and who can see it when and what, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess you can't just slap a camera on an officer and call it a day.
It's, someone who records video podcasts, like if you're recording 12 hours of video, it's a hard thing on every bodied person that has it. That's a lot of video footage.
A lot of cost.
Store and all that.
And I'm kind of essentially an admin myself. So it's I get it. And so he was just very human, and it was just interesting to see. So hopefully they will be there to talk about these budget cuts.
To talk about that, why is this timely?
So the city and the county, every year they do a budget session where they, plan for the next fiscal year. Both of them, their fiscal years start July 1st. So the FY26 budgets start July 1st, 2025, actually. So that's what they're both planning for now. Both of them are losing money. If you've listened to presentations from either entity, it's because real estate values are down. And so we're not bringing in as much tax dollars. And so the chair and the mayor have asked all the departments to do what they call an exercise in reducing their budget by X%. So initially, I know the city did not ask any public safety bureaus to do this exercise, but then Councilor Canal suggested that they do that. And so same at the county, that they've suggested that, I don't know what the percentage is, and they might be different depending on the department, what percentage they got thrown. And so then they'll get to come, a draft budget will come out from both. I'm not sure when the city one is supposed to come out, but the county one will come out on the 24th of this month. And that is when the county board will basically start squabbling over a little bit of money and amendments and trying to save a couple of programs. And I think this is the first time with the new form of government doing this. I personally think that the city's going to kind of come out the same way, because the mayor has put together this budget. It's a better process than the county because there's so much public input happening now, which is great. The county's not, they're accepting online feedback, but I think the chair had one town hall. But it's really great that the city council's members have been able to do all these different town halls with public. But I think it'll be the same outcome, and it's going to be even harder because there's 12 of them that have to agree that they're going to be trying to squabble over changing things, and it's going to be hard to get enough people to vote with you. And I don't know if they've decided what a quorum is yet, but like how many votes they need to pass these things.
There's
or
still
whatever.
some of it they're sorting out. I know yesterday a meeting I was watching, they haven't really figured out the committee. They're traditionally it was 3 out of 5, or it was just assumed it'd be 3 out of 5, but they haven't officiated or official
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see like how much like they can really move the budget as a council. But yeah, so people like us need to show up and say, hey, we do not agree with cutting the police or the sheriff or the district attorney or the fire budgets. I think all of them are pretty much asking to just maintain current level.
But talk about why, because I mean, for those of us who've testified before at county and at city council, isn't it true? I mean, this is my experience anyway. Isn't it true that especially when it comes to public safety, it's the same 10 people who show up every single time. And these are people who have time to burn, or that's their job is to agitate against police or agitate against
And they're
really
the
anything
loudest.
having to do with police. Yeah, and
They're loud.
And when they come together time after time and they're doing this, isn't it true? At least this has been my experience, and this is what I'm hearing from city councilors, that the ones that want those budgets slashed, the ones that want to see police further defunded, their budgets further cut, further neutered, for lack of a better word, feel very satisfied and are looking around the room as these people are queuing up like little ants to come in and testify over and over with the same message over and over again. Like, we don't need police. We don't want police. And we think they've got too much and we need to be done with this. And just sort of looking around like, see, that's what everybody thinks. That's what everybody thinks. And nobody's looking. I just want to be candid. Like, nobody's sifting through the emails and blowing them up and saying like, but I've got this from this person in my district. Like, it's great to send an email or it's great to make a phone call, but when you're there in those listening sessions, when you're there in those testimony sessions, some people come in via Zoom, but there is nothing like being there in person. Because I'm telling you, those people, remember 2020? Remember 2021? Remember that? Those people who want that to continue, they're there and they're there in person. And if we don't have some kind of counterbalance to that, the people like Dan Ryan who want to fund police are, Samir Kanal and Angelita are looking at him going, well, see, people want to get to continue to cut these programs. People want it to be like 2020, 2021. They don't want a lot of police. And Dan's looking around going, well, I've got my one or two people here, to come up and talk. And I know everybody's busy, and I know a lot of the people who want to see fire and police funded, they're working. Like, I know that. And maybe you can't leave work, and maybe you just don't have time to do it. But there are people who do. And if you think that public safety is important, and if you want to see Portland return to some kind of normal, the only way to do it is to get back, we were talking to the economist, Dr. Eric Fruits, about this. He's not a public safety guy, but what he said is it's got to be safer or businesses will not invest in downtown. Right. And also people just won't come downtown.
Yeah, we were actually talking yesterday about kind of half joking about bringing the mounted patrol back because we're like, downtown needs like public safety visibility, whatever that looks like. But were you going to say something? Sorry.
Oh, I was going to comment on the fact that these people that are so anti-police that show up. I was kind of thinking back to our city commissioner events when people were the candidates running, and the people that were the most vocal about the police were the least educated. And I remember, and it might have been you, Andy, somebody was asking questions to these candidates, like, do you know this or do you know this? And they didn't know. They were so ill-informed. They had this agenda. They had this narrative that the police are horrible, awful people. And to be fair, countrywide, there have been challenges with the police. I'm the first to say that I want fair policing the way anybody does. Of course. We all do.
Good police.
Absolutely. But some of these candidates, they couldn't answer any of the questions because they're not educated. And I think that no matter what your narrative is, if your narrative is really, really, truly, police suck, they're terrible, they're horrible, if you educate that person, it really can challenge that narrative and help them understand. People don't understand. And that's what I would like to do. Like, this event will really help to educate people. Like, what can we expect from the police? What is their job? Instead of just standing behind this idea that they're just horrible.
Right. Yeah, I think it's funny because like when I was in my 20s, I kind of had that, and it's weird.
I did
You
too.
almost get
I did
like
too.
shaky around police because you don't see them almost as human. So I think it humanizes
It's
them for
humanizing,
sure.
absolutely.
And, you can kind of see eye to eye with them.
But also, Erica, you and I were just talking about this last night. I mean, what's interesting is some of these people who want to get rid of the police effectively are people like Joanne Hardesty who needed police, who have called police.
You had to call the police, yeah.
Who have used BOAC, Bureau of Emergency Communications, who have called 911.
well, if you're cold in a lift, you got to call. I'm just joking.
I mean, yeah, anybody can Google that and learn about it. But the
hysterical.
point is, then they get pissed when they don't show up or if
Yeah.
they're not there on time.
Oh,
or
then there's just, then they're more angry.
or if they're a little tense, or if the officer's a little tense because he was just coming from a shooting or a stabbing or whatever, and he's been up since God knows when, and then he's got to work overtime tomorrow because there's just no police out there, and I mean, and then they're frustrated, and it's like, look, we all have to use. We don't want to use these services, but we want them there if we do, and if we want this community police vibe, where they're on their bikes or where. You know, I mean, mounted patrol would be a dream. That probably will never come back. But something like that, where they're friendly, they're amiable, they're walking the streets. They got to be well slept. They got to be fed, just like you, just like anybody else. We know what we're like when we're overworked and we're not doing well, and so we keep cutting them. And it will be more difficult for them to do what you want them to do. And frankly, just to be safe. Like, you don't want a tiny little skeleton police force. You don't want that.
Can I point out that, because I just would like to, for your viewers, that we have 2.1 police officers for every 4 that we should have. So we have roughly half the amount of another city our size.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody knows that. They want to cut police. Are you imagining that we have this big, robust police force? Because we don't. We are a skeleton crew, as Kristen said. We are a skeleton crew, and they want to cut more. Samir wants to cut more, and then he wants to shorten 911 phone calls, right?
City councilor.
The city councilors. Yeah. That doesn't. Who am I going to call? So I'm going to get through to 911. Who are they going to send me if there's no police officers?
Yeah. Well, it's a weird thing too, because it I was going to say like if Max was here. He would be very adamant about all the DSA counselors are just outright police abolitionists. They don't want police. They're very anti-police.
I think that's probably right.
They should go form their own city with no police and see how it works.
But it's weird. It has like I don't know if 2-pronged effect is the right word, but like the less police we have, the more overtime we have. And then these city councilors or whoever's up there will then complain about how much overtime we're paying. And it's like, well, look, you kind of caused this
It's ironic.
because of our low police numbers. But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to say about the budget stuff?
Well, I want to add on what Kristen said earlier about showing up to testify. I think they do read the written testimony and like tally them up, but it's the media perception, right? You've been there.
Especially when it's recorded.
But the counselors
And so
too.
the media walks away with, and the counselors too, but the media can grab that narrative and say, well, 90% of the crowd said they didn't want this.
Yeah.
And so like, we kind of proved that back when we were still labeled the Portland Party. The OPB Alex Zielinski wrote an article about the police body camera testimony and how we stacked it. But as Kristen was saying, that's what our opposition does constantly is stack the testimony.
They stack every meeting. The difference is they stack every meeting.
They caught us because 2 people called in virtually and went one right after the other and read verbatim the same like template statement I had offered up for like written testimony. It was really funny.
It's kind of weird to think that that's how they kind of gauge public perception. But like you're saying, that's kind of the game that we're in. And,
Yeah, and it's
if nobody shows up,
see,
other people will show up.
2 of your District 3 counselors, at least that I've seen, I'm trying to follow all of them on social media. Counselor Murillo and Koyama Lane have both been like teaching people how to come testify. Right. And it's been my experience that the electeds always kind of kept that on the down low, like secretive, like they invite people to come, back their bill or whatever, but they try to keep it quiet. So that's really interesting to me that they're like publicly just announcing like, come testify on this item. We need you here.
Yeah.
This is from a K2U article, April 9th, 2025, just in case anybody's wondering if this is actually real. We're 1.26 police officers per 1,000. So we're 48th among 50 largest cities in the country for staffing a population.
I would be curious to know if we asked the city council, like how many people know that fact.
Yeah. Well, I want to say maybe one of you know too that we're either at or below the same number we were in like the year 2000. Doesn't that? I remember hearing something about that. Like
I do
the
remember that too,
population
yeah.
kept growing, but the police force kind of stayed the same or
Yeah.
got reduced, which
Yeah,
is just crazy to think
We've
about.
never had the proper number of staffing, even when we liked police back in like 2018. We still like cops, I guess.
Yeah.
And like it's just been hard to get them here. And now
Oh yeah, it's a hostile.
I think
place
Terrence
to work.
Hayes you guys have talked about this with him. Like we are one of the highest paid salaries in the country now for officers. So it's not a money issue. It's a morale issue.
Right.
And
Well, you mean it's not a salary issue because,
yeah,
it is a
salary.
money
It is a
issue
money
in the
issue
sense
budget.
that they need to be funded.
But like I know that they've said they're not even asking for as much as they'd like to have because they know
Right.
they can't get that many officers to apply.
Yeah.
So there's that piece too. If we could get that many
Recruiting,
officers,
yeah.
we'd be like, yes, bigger budget. But they're just politely asking to maintain current staffing levels to try to maintain the little bit of sanity we've been able to claw back the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, the one thing the budget is just is wild to me, and I'll move on to this other thing is, because all I heard from candidates and everyone, even people that got into office last year, was community policing, like you said a second ago. And now it just seems to have completely fallen off the map. And I know it's budget crunch time, and they got to compete for these priorities, but it's like I kind of see it as a campaign promise that's now forgotten or being unfulfilled, and it just seems crazy to me.
I don't think they pay attention to the funding of the alternative stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know Terrence Hayes again has talked about this. I don't know if it was on your show or not, but that the Office of Violence Prevention had a lot of ARPA funding, I guess.
Okay.
And it's going away. And he said, I think he told me it was like 12 million, and we're down to like 3 million for that budget. That's a crazy.
Yeah. And and I think all of us too, all are supporters of I always forget the name of it. The
Ceasefire.
no,
Or-
the
the FitCog.
FitCog and the Fire Bureau's public safety.
Oh, chat.
Yeah, that just all the alternative public safety models.
Yeah,
What's the
which-
big one I'm forgetting?
Street
PSR.
response.
Street response. Yeah, like I think all of us support them.
And this is the thing, and I've heard fire captains talk about this and police officers. We have all these alternatives now, but that just is allowing us to take more calls. It's not reducing the number of calls that are coming in.
Right.
And so we still need to fund all of these bureaus.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like I said,
And
it's
we need all options.
yeah, like when you say that in a campaign year that you're for community policing, to me that's directly to police, and that means you're not going to cut public safety budgets. And it just seems like, all the DSA candidates and all those are going to go after their budget, but we'll see. Yeah, that was actually my next city going after police budget. I wanted to bring up this. There was some article this week and some debate about the civil commitment. I think it was like a Tina Kotek thing.
No, it's a state thing.
They're thinking about
Tina Kotek did talk about it though. Yeah,
talking about changing the law around that. I know Oregon is really strict with those, but
it's very hard to get
was-
civil commitment.
They've been talking about it in the legislature for a few years now, but the bills just keep like dying in committees. It's really unfortunate.
So that's basically where somebody's declared to have no agency or a limited amount of agency, and then they need to be directed by a guardian, by a court to do what to go to the state hospital and take
Treatment.
their medication,
Yeah.
to go to drug treatment, to go to detox and rehab, things like that to help them get their life back on track so that they can gain agency for themselves again and be part of society.
yeah, if it's
they're not
drugs,
a
mental
danger.
illness, both, one or
Not
the
a
other,
danger to
yeah, all that
themselves and
stuff.
others. Yeah.
People are really limited, people who work in those industries are really limited in what they can do because of our civil commitment laws. And I hope they change it. I'm glad Tina Kotek's talking about it. I don't agree with much of what she does, but I think that's a good
It's important.
debate to have.
There's,
at least,
there's a lot of people wandering the streets of Portland that just need their antipsychotic meds.
Yeah.
And if we could just force them to take them, they could live happy lives, not
Yeah,
on the street.
it's a win-win for everybody, right?
This is a subject that I'm so passionate on. These people cannot help themselves. They cannot help themselves. And our idea in Portland, I do think we see ourselves as very compassionate. We're liberal. We just want everyone to have all these rights. But you're in some ways you're taking away their right to human dignity.
Yeah.
When they cannot advocate for themselves,
Living
who
a-
is advocating for them?
living a better life.
Living a better life. We had a member who told a story. I don't know where the story was told, but She's a volunteer at a shelter downtown and a huge advocate for the homeless and getting them help. And she would speak of this homeless woman who would come in and naked, and she would have to bribe her with food to get her dressed because this woman is getting sexually assaulted in the streets. She can't stop it. She doesn't even, she's so mentally ill. And she walked in naked eating a dead crow. Oh. Now, would you want that for a family member, a loved one? She doesn't know what she's doing. And we can't help her because she has the right to do what she wants, but nobody would do that if they were okay. So I think it's a moral issue here. Like, we have to help people who cannot help themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild that stuff like that's kind of almost like commonplace,
You
especially
think it was
downtown.
common
We've
sense.
all seen
Yeah.
things. It might not be a crow, but we've all seen people consuming things
Oh.
they shouldn't be consuming.
Oh, my
and
gosh,
Not
yeah.
just drugs either. Just
If they were
Pooping on the
medicated and
sidewalk.
okay, they would never do this. I would want someone to intervene for me if I was in that space. We would want that for people we care
The
about.
example is usually like, your grandmother with dementia. You wouldn't let her choose to live in a tent on the street being sexually assaulted and not knowing that that's happening to her, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it changes because, I know it's very strict here. I was going to bring up this. I just thought this was interesting this week at a city council. I think it was a committee meeting on homelessness. Ask Me came after Keith Wilson's Congregate shelter plan, which I'd never. First of all, I didn't even think of that happening. Like, I thought everyone would just be on board with his plan.
remind us what AFSCME is. It's the union.
I know it. All I know is it's a union. It's a big union, right? I don't know much about
I'm terrible with acronyms.
other than that.
Vicky, you're my acronym
I don't know all the union ones. I'm sure it's like American Federal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's one of the bigger ones here in town, but
Yeah, there are a lot of the government employees.
it was kind of funny. They pointed out a bunch of these shelters, and some of the city councilors were like, actually, most of those shelters are run by the county, so you're kind of at the wrong meeting here.
Yeah. A lot of people confuse that.
I did hear about that. Yeah, they went to the wrong meeting.
But I just thought the main takeaway for me was like, why? I just never thought anyone would start attacking Keith's plan, first of all, this early or at all.
They
It just
represent
seems-
workers in the public sector. It's a public sector union. I just don't understand what the nexus is between them and congregate shelters. Like why does that help
It
public
might
employees?
be because the overnight shelters, like he's talking about putting them at churches and stuff, so maybe that's taking work away from them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I'd
know
have to go back and listen to what they said.
that sort of angle. I'm not sure, but they basically, from what I took away, were making more of like a housing first argument of like we just
yeah.
Oh, they were. Okay.
they're like we need permanent housing
We
for
could
these
talk
people.
about that for
and-
hours.
Yeah, but I just thought that was interesting and
Grandma can eat her crow inside.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll put her. Yeah, exactly.
Can I debunk that really quickly? Since I do watch a lot of county meetings, I think it was last year, it could have been the year prior. There have been reports to the County Board of Commissioners that we are losing insurability for our low-income buildings because of the people we are placing in these apartments that are destroying
Is that true?
their units.
Yes.
And so
never heard that.
all these building owners are like freaking out that they feel like they're at risk of losing to be able to insure their building, which means HUD and Home Forward cannot put people in that building anymore.
Can you talk
right?
about do you have any understanding of the specifics of that destroying? Like what does that look like?
Well, I know it's kind of unrelated, but I was thinking that building that burned downtown, the guy just got charged for arson and stuff, and I think he had mental health issues.
People like that.
Yeah.
And so that it's making people who are just regular low income people that are trying to get by
So like fires and
refuse these apartments because they don't want to live by these people. Like I live in an area that is inundated with low income housing, and being on next door, I see like the complaints of people living in these buildings. They're like, I'm clean, I'm trying to stay clean, and these people are like banging on the walls and screaming all night. And there's been reports in the news of like, the walls getting ripped apart.
And there's nobody,
somebody
like,
went on
regulating.
a bender. And so the other thing too is that we are losing HUD vouchers. There's another report we got because, say Erica, we got her some housing and she, the HUD vouchers for a year, we give her this apartment. She either destroys it and gets evicted and or decides, I don't want to live in this apartment anymore. I want to go live back out on the street. We've just lost a voucher because they're like, oh, you didn't use it, so you don't need it anymore.
Right.
So we're actually hurting low-income people. And Keith Wilson talked about this on the campaign trail. And I want to start Future Portland lobbying him more on him lobbying the county to change who we're placing in housing first, because this is why we are not getting people off the street. We are putting the wrong people in housing first.
Thank you, Vicki.
And there are people, and again, there's been reporting on this. Fox 12 did an investigative report like a year or so ago, and they interviewed a few people that they're on, all these federal programs already. They're stabilized. They're not junkies. They're not criminals. And so therefore, they don't check enough boxes. So they're waiting, and somebody who does check all those boxes is getting placed first.
But they don't stay placed.
And even if they do, it takes them longer to move out of that supportive housing into a regular apartment on their own. And so it's creating these bottlenecks in the low-income housing. And so Keith has got data from other cities that are successfully ending unsheltered homelessness. And he called it the Bobs and the Wows, the best of the best and the worst of the worst. And so all these other cities are housing the Bobs first. And so they're getting people cycled through faster, and we're doing the Wows first. And so it's just taking so much longer to get them through housing. And like one of the examples of that is Jessica Vega Peterson's Housing Multnomah Now. When that was first announced, remember she was going to house 300 people.
She's our chair.
Multnomah County chair. They started at the Pit, which is they have homeless storage lockers underneath the steel bridge.
Right.
And
that's the one by NATO, right? Is it?
Yeah. And Kristen has interviewed Aaliyah, a woman who lived in a condo over there.
Yeah.
Who it was a daily nightmare for this woman to be living over there. The stuff she was seeing and hearing. It was one of the worst campsites with the most criminals, the most disgusting things happening. And so they got like 3 people housed in the first few months. It was insane.
It was way under the
And they're actually
target.
now, they're not talking about it, but they're out in the 1,000 Acres area doing it now. And like I've heard those people that live out there in the woods out there are feral. Like these people are not going to transition into housing well.
Yeah.
We got to rethink our housing first model. It doesn't work.
I don't know. It's what I'm just, a big proponent of what Dan Ryan talks about. And even Keith's thing, I just think, the transitional housing is so important because you can't just plop somebody with a lot of issues into regular permanent housing. Because like you said, all the reasons you outlined.
And people like to hate on urban alchemy, which is just silly because like everybody loves this pure model.
Yeah. They have their issues.
And so when you have peers, like you're going to have people relapsing and you're going to have issues, but it's a good model. And so when they first came to us, Tina Kotek, our governor, said they wouldn't give us any money unless they put pods up, but they were arguing that a lot of people don't feel comfortable going into the pods yet because
they're so used to street.
They want to know they can take that tent and leave anytime they want. But the pods are a good in between step because it gets them used to 4 walls. And I've heard a lot of people say that it is a good little I have a secure space. It's got a lock. I don't have to worry about my stuff getting stolen. I can calm down and think about the next things I need to do for myself to get into the permanent supportive housing that they call the next step.
Totally. Yeah, so anytime people just jump on the housing first thing, I'm like, if you've been tuning out the last 10 years in Portland, you need to. It's way more complicated.
Some people, and those aren't the people that most of us are referring to that we see out on the street.
It's going to work for some people. Exactly.
If you talk to she would be a great interview for you, by the way. Brandy Tuck, who runs Path Home, it's a family shelter. We have very few family shelters in the city, and she will tell you that most of them are in hiding, and so they're not getting counted. And so they're not getting money to help them because they're hiding. Those people do exist. And those people definitely would be good for housing first because they don't have other issues. Yeah.
And it's part of that bigger problem, too, that you, Kristen, and I talk about a lot of, we don't, we just lump all the homeless into one. And it's you got to distinguish between street homeless and then people that are just kind of couch surfing. And you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that, honestly, one of the reasons I criticize Angelita too, because by her definition of homeless, I was homeless. I was living on couches when I first moved to Portland. Didn't have an address. It's I'm sure plenty of us.
And I've had friends that surfed on my couch.
Yeah. And I agree with you. For some of those people, and especially if you're a family, you can get them into a house for sure, and that.
Yeah.
Works, Okay, I think I might have had one more. Let me see here, or maybe I didn't. Is there anything else serious you guys want to bring up before I get into some of these funny things? Anything on your mind?
I I don't know.
What about the May ballot? Is there anything else besides the PPS pond on there? I don't.
There's a lot of school
There's
board
some
elections.
school board
School
races.
stuff, yeah.
I mean, I like Herman Green.
Yeah, that's probably the most contentious Portland Public Schools race is Herman Green versus Rochelle Chase Miller.
Okay.
She was part of the Wall of Moms thing, I believe.
I don't know anything about those races. I don't know. Yeah.
But Herman is the incumbent. He's a black pastor, and he and the other black man on the school board, why am I blanking on his name? Gary Hollins, are both up for re-election right now.
Gary's great too.
Yeah, they're both really great. And I think we need more black men in these spaces, especially when it's young black men that are, struggling a lot in the city with gun violence. And
When we profess to care about black people in the city of Portland, Black Lives Matter. I mean, we're sort of obsessed with it. If that's really true, then let's
Then elect them.
lift people up who are interested in civic life.
Yeah. And they're both good people, so.
And vote. You just vote. If there's ever an election, just vote. You guys, we need more voters.
Yeah, and we come to Future Portland if you don't know who
I
to
think
vote for.
we're going to
We'll
try
help.
to put a little event together and see if any of the school board candidates want to come out and
That'd be cool. Yeah.
I think that would be well received.
we're gonna-
I'd like to
Great
do that,
idea.
yeah.
I mean, it's going to kind
Wow,
of
that's a
stink
great
because it'll probably be in Portland, out in Portland Public School District, but I'd like to invite the other school districts too.
Cool. Okay, got a few more minutes here. Let me see. I got both of these are really, really wacky. I'm gonna start with this first one. That's more fun. Do you guys have what's your favorite Dorito or Takis flavor?
Oh my God.
I'm sorry too about my dog. She's getting hungry.
She's so cute.
Cool Ranch.
Cool Ranch is a good classic one.
I'm just gonna go straight Dorito, just like the nacho cheese
regular
flavor. Just
nacho
I know
cheese?
that's kind of like the
Well, nacho
equivalent to
cheese
your
is not
mozzarella.
straight Dorito. Straight
talking about
Dorito is
the-
the corn chip.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it? Oh,
You
Yeah.
have the original corn chip, yeah.
You're talking about the one that's like Frito-Lay
Wait, hold
Doritos,
on.
the classic.
Hold on, I'm my mind's a little blown here. Isn't the original Doritos in a red package and it says nacho cheese?
No.
Stop
Well,
it.
that's nacho cheese. Yeah.
That's
Wait,
not
that is the
cheese
original.
Dorito. No,
I
it's
think
not.
the regular.
count-
I think the original
I don't
Dorito
have
is like
my
a
phone.
tortilla
It's
chip
just a
with a
tortilla
little
chip.
more.
So you
salt
guys
or
are all
something.
getting a testament to how I grew up. There was no treats. There was no junk food. So I completely missed that. I thought it was
I don't
nacho
know.
cheese. Is
When-
that
now you
somehow
got-
in my
best
20s?
ones. I mean,
Yeah.
you did get
got
get brought into the Dorito family
To be
via
fair,
one of the
I don't
best
think I
ones.
knew that until I was older. So to be
Okay.
fair,
Well,
I
you're
didn't-
also
I
like
didn't eat
50 years
them.
younger than me. So are you suggesting that the original Dorito had nothing fun on it? It was just naked?
I think it was
That's
like a
right.
tortilla
It is
chip with a
tortilla.
little
Look
more
at,
salt.
look at
or
it in
something.
the grocery
I
store.
don't know.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Is there
It has a
does
weird design.
It's in the grocery store.
But it doesn't have nacho cheese stuff on
It doesn't have anything.
It might have like half of the
Thank
powder.
you.
of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
original
it
maybe.
might have a little, but it's
She's
not.
pulling
It's
it out.
not
No,
orange.
it doesn't.
It's not orange.
It's not
like
orange?
the.
Some people really like the green or the purple bag.
What flavor is
that? I
that?
don't
Yam?
know.
One of them
is.
salsa verde. I can't remember.
I
what
don't
the,
think I've had
what the other
those.
one.
I think we're trying too hard these days. Like you know what I ran into yesterday at Safeway? Lemon pepper popcorn. Like this is
sounds delicious.
No, it does not. It shows
I
you
might try
that
that.
everything has been invented that needs to
I'm
be
interested
invented,
in it.
and they are desperate for something new. And they're like, "What could we do
Andy
different to
and
this
I'll try it.
popcorn?
I'll try it.
We could put lemon on it.
Well, have you seen the
It's probably delicious,
cinnamon
Kristen,
toast
but I'm
crunch
not gonna try it.
bacon? Have you seen that?
Wait, what?
I'll put a photo. I think she sent it to me, but I've seen
Bacon.
it at grocery outlet. They have cinnamon toast crunch bacon.
Okay, would you like to share what else you saw at grocery outlet that you
I've
got
seen
for?
so much stuff. Did you know that Patagonia makes food? Patagonia makes like crackers and stuff.
To take on your mountain trip?
Yeah.
Like your mountain hike? Okay.
just went
yeah.
to the-
Because
I
those
didn't see
crackers will
food
be
in there,
better
did you?
than the other crackers?
I guess I don't
Okay,
know. I
on
thought
your-
that was hilarious. I'm like, you guys are expanding.
I
this
think
food.
they're, yes,
That's
just showing
probably
you.
why they were at grocery outlet. They
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
sell well.
Grocery outlet is
But they
the
were
most
probably, like,
fun.
It's fun, yeah.
$20 to begin with anyway. If it
My
was,
thing right now, because I'm about to hopefully start a new job, but I'm on unemployment, so I'm looking for stuff that's under $1. And
yeah,
they
when
have
you
a
found
lot
it
of they have a lot
with
of
your
stuff.
pumpkin spice.
Yeah,
Okay.
What were those frosted?
they'll be sold out now,
pretzels?
but 50 cents pumpkin spice. What are they called?
Pretzel flips?
Yeah,
Pretzel
Nestle
flips, yeah.
flips.
So disgusting.
It's so gross.
You'll like them. Though.
You'll have to do it. You know what, Andy? You should do a food review.
I know, I don't
like
know
bring
why
all
you
your
do that.
weird shit
Unbox
food.
them.
Bring the original Doritos.
Or your
I'll
little
be here.
videos on Instagram.
We could do like a blind taste test. We could do
Oh, that
like
would be
a
fun.
Oh, so fun. Yeah.
Any-
When
anything
we
that's
get
less
really
than
tired of these
$1,
politics,
I'll
let's do like a food review. Grocery
do it.
outlet.
Okay, since the 60s, the Dorito was plain.
Wait, I'm sorry. You said the 60s?
Since the
60s.
60s, And in the 90s, there were flavors.
No.
Nacho cheese, Cool Ranch was not until
This is so
94.
So that is likely when I was introduced to Doritos.
When was the
as
first
a
one?
baby, Vicky.
As a baby.
Yeah, that's the bag. That's the original
Yeah,
bag.
but that one's
I'm gonna
taco
have to
flavor.
do my own research
Okay.
on this because
And that was in
You're gonna have to go to
2011.
the
2011
yeah.
was taco flavor.
I don't feel comfortable with those facts. So
This is
challenge that
She
narrative.
feels like she's being
Did you-
Mandela.
Yeah.
Did you say your favorite, Kristen?
Nacho cheese did not come around until 72.
Fuck off. I'm sorry.
Is that your favorite nacho? What's your favorite?
I like Cool Ranch, I think. I mean,
Ranch.
but nacho cheese and Cool Ranch are probably tied. What
Okay.
about you?
Do you get? I don't know. I like them. Cool Ranch is
darn
probably
good,
my
they're good.
favorite. I don't know. I'm more into Takis because I just had one of those. But
Takis are
Aren't those
delicious.
all spicy?
they're
My
a little
kids like
extreme.
my kids like
Yeah,
they have like
I think
all
blue,
kids
blue
like
ones and all the
Takis,
different.
yeah.
This isn't really much of a question, but I had a dream the other night that I wanted Subway. Have you ever had a dream where you just are
Were you
hungry for
starving?
something?
Were you
Yes.
like, did you wake up hungry? Was it one of those kind of things?
I get
You
probably
went to bed hungry, maybe.
Probably. But
Yeah.
that's the first time I can remember I had a dream of wanting to eat something.
So cute.
Which seems
and
weird.
you chose Subway. That's
and it
so
was Subway,
cute,
which
Andy.
is like kind of trash, but
What
you
do
know,
you
it's
order
like-
from Subway?
Yeah. What were your condiments?
It's not trash.
Did you
that disgusting pedophile lost like
Oh my
200
God,
pounds on
Jared. Did
Subway.
you? Can you talk to us about in your dream?
diet
Did you
food.
like did you have like banana peppers?
I didn't even
or-
get to like putting it together. I was just like, I think maybe I smelled the bread or something. You know, they have that
Oh, it's so
iconic
delicious.
bread smell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
delicious.
But I
pump
didn't
it
get
out.
to ordering it. But
It's actually
To be
so
continued.
my roommate in college worked there.
me too. Well,
And-
not in college, but my roommate worked there. Yeah.
Well, so did they keep their stinky apron in your dorm room? Because that smell is
does carry.
it is
Burned in your
it
brain.
Does not,
Does it
it
smell
does
like the
not
bread?
smell like it doesn't smell delicious like the bread. It's awful.
Okay. It's like
And we had to ask our other suite mates if we could leave it in the bathroom because I was just like,
maybe
no.
leave it in your car. That's weird.
was
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that
gross.
is weird.
My roommate, he worked at some of the downtown ones. I think a lot of them are closed now. But his famous story was like somebody came in once and he was like, "About how big is a 6-inch?"
Stop it. That is so cute.
That's
He's
really
like, "It's about
funny.
6 inches."
That's really funny.
And the guy's like, "Well, that's a real smart ass remark." And
Oh,
I was like, "What?"
that's adorable.
Okay, let's do the classic. Nobody's ever heard. Maybe I asked you this, but your peanut butter are you crunchy, smooth peanut butter? What's your preference?
creamy, smooth, whatever.
Oil, no oil.
I think
No oil.
I don't understand people that like crunchy peanut butter. It's disgusting. Weirdly,
Well, you're
I
talking to
love
one right
I
now.
love nuts as long as they're ground up and smashed up like peanut butter
feels
flavored
very
things. But when
strongly
you
about
toss
this.
a nut in something and that crunch throws me off, it makes me mad.
She's feeling. She has
Throwing down.
feelings.
Throwing down.
It's okay.
Although
Everyone
I'm
can
like-
have their each.
I'm
each
like
their
kind
own.
of averse to eating peanut butter sandwiches because I grew up poor, and so I ate a lot of
try
peanut
to
butter and jelly as
not
a
do
kid.
that.
So I mean, I don't turn it down, but like I like to do it fancy if I can, like fancy bread, fancy jelly,
Okay.
fancy peanut butter,
the nice stuff. Yeah.
but not oil. I don't like to work for my food.
Yeah, the oil is just too much. I
Well, then
think.
it's dry at the bottom, right? And it's always dry at the bottom, no matter how much you
Yep,
try to
that's
stir
right.
it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Have
Cement.
any of your feelings changed on peanut butter? I don't think so.
Apparently not.
Do you believe in aliens, Bigfoot, or ghosts?
Oh, this could get controversial.
Ghosts.
Everyone just says no, but ghosts. Okay.
I'm going with no Bigfoot. Sorry, guys.
I know it's the easiest.
Ghosts. I mean, we all have souls. Well, how I see it, and
Okay.
those souls turn into ghosts maybe when we die.
And then they turn into crystals, and then you put those crystals on your cheese.
and I'm
You eat it and it comes full circle.
I'm following all this UFO stuff, and I'm gonna say, in the big picture, I'm absolutely open to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is some interesting new stuff
why
with all the
haven't we
Tic Tac
seen them
UFOs.
yet?
Remember? Yeah.
But I just watched some documentary, and it was like, it had to do with like aliens were underwater, and there's like
Oh yeah, the underwater ones. Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
So people think the UFOs
there were
go
a
in
lot
the
of
ocean.
like instances they brought together. I was like, that kind of makes sense.
It's like the Abyss. You ever seen the Abyss? That
Yes,
movie?
that's a
Yeah.
great movie.
Okay. Do you guys want to shout out a local biz or restaurant that you had a good time at recently?
Oh,
Oh God, I have to think on this.
where have I been?
Pressure.
I was just on vacation, so I'm like, I haven't been in Portland.
That's okay if you don't.
Oh, there's so many fabulous small businesses
We
here.
just got Eric was shouting out Sailors. Have you guys ever heard about that place?
Oh, the steak place?
Steak
Yeah.
place.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I live really close to Clyde's Prime Rib.
Oh, Clyde's, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
Clyde's.
They did whoever bought it did the most. I thought it was going to get turned into condos or apartments, so I was excited. And they redid it, and it's got this beautiful old 1950s vibe when you walk in. It's that nice dark. I love dark with candles, and it's loungy, and they have live music on Saturdays, and it's dancing with people that are my age, which is really fun because I'm old now. So that place is amazing.
Yeah, it's always I'm not gonna say who it was, but I used to work with a TV director, a guy who'd do the switcherboard, and he would go out there, and just get blasted, like super drunk.
Well, Joe and
But
Hardesty
don't
likes to gamble there, so if you want to meet Joe and Hardesty, you can come to Clyde's.
Oh,
She's in
okay.
a little
But
casino area.
don't they do like dancing and stuff too? Or-
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, on the weekends, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went there on my 50th birthday, and I brought my tiny hands, little doll hands, and I put in my sleeves, and I danced like this.
I've seen those. The little.
It was the most fun
Yeah.
I've ever had, and there was a nice gentleman to my left, and I was stroking his tie with my little baby hand like this, and I was motioning like this for most fun.
I don't know
So
if you want to
your
admit that on a podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
bring your tiny hands when you go to Clyde's and dance with them
Okay.
because it's fun.
Look out for the tiny
Tiny hands.
So I'll give a shout out. There's a bottle shop in my neighborhood, Mayfly. They
What is
bring in
it? Wine? and stuff?
wine, beer, lots of beer on tap. But they really activate the space. They bring in food trucks, and they've like a lot of small businesses have gotten so much crap stolen and vandalized over the years, and so I just think they bring a lot to the Kenton neighborhood. So
Have we been
if
there?
you're-
Have I been there with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
We
with the-
actually
yeah.
had our second
That place is
ever
great.
unofficial group meeting there.
Nice.
Just because when we first met, it was still COVID-y, and we were meeting
COVID-y.
at tents outside. And so
That place
near,
is
it's
great.
not far
What's
from
it called?
Mayfly.
Mayfly.
It's near the Denver Ave Max station where Paul Bunyan
Right,
resides.
right.
Yep.
That's my neighborhood.
It's by the
so-
old Dancing Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, dancing
So the
B-A-R-E.
Dancing
The
Bear
Dancing Bear.
is officially done.
I know. I just remember when I was young.
A group
but-
called Friends
the-
of Noise have bought it. I guess it's a lot of
Okay.
young people that are putting on. They're going to put on some music.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I'm excited to see that come to fruition.
Cool. All right. I was just gonna give one last chance to, where can people donate to Future Portland? Just go to your website.
Our website, futureportland.org/donate. And the tickets, there's event page, so /events you can see more info about the fundraiser. And there's a link to it's Eventbrite that you buy the tickets on.
Okay. Yeah, and you guys, get tickets now before they're sold out or whatnot, and you can see Kristen there. And
There's there's going to be a lot of fun people too. And
Yeah.
if you just want to get out of the house and do something new and learn something.
Meet people in the community.
Yeah, we all went to the Nathan Vasquez party after when he won the election. And if that did not, I will say that energy in that room was electric. And his speech, I mean, it brought tears. That he is a wonderful man.
He's good, yeah.
I'm very excited to hear what he has to say at this event.
totally, yeah. All right, well, yeah, thanks for coming
Thank
in.
you.
You guys are always
Thanks
welcome
for
back.
having
Thanks,
us.
Andy.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Thanks, Andy.